You're listening to the Backporch Talk Podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Backporch Talk Podcast. I'm your coach, Jason.
Your coach, Danny.
Fans, we got a full show for you today. A little Masters talk. NBA is fantastic. Formula One, a little bit about the NCAA. But first, fans, we request that you go ahead and like the channel, like the show. You know we need the algorithms to algorithm. Mm-hmm. Do that for us. But first, Danny, right into the Masters, where Rory McIlroy finally gets his Masters title and ultimately gets the career Grand Slam. Man, it was epic towards the end there, man. He could have won it on the 18th with a par chance, but he missed it. Goes into the playoffs with Justin Rose, and where in the very first playoff hole, meaning Rory, actually goes ahead and wins it. And just a interesting tournament, but a very intriguing ending to the Masters tournament. I think with Live Golf actually being in the midst there, you didn't see the likes of Phil Mickelson. I think he didn't make the cut for the weekend. But you haven't heard of Live Golf a whole lot. Mm-hmm. And I'm just interested in knowing what in the world happened. I think some of these golfers are wondering what in the world happened too. The Masters players got paid. The purse was $21 million, and this was divvied up across all the players. Rory takes home $4.2 million. Justin Rose takes home $2.268 million. Third place, Patrick Reed. He takes home $1.42 million. And Danny, this is the biggest purse, or the largest purse in Masters history. And It makes sense, man. It makes all the sense in the world, Danny. What say you about the Masters tournament?
I watched the whole, when Rory and DeChambeau teed off. I watched the whole way through. Rory actually started off. He lost his lead right off the rip.
Lost right off the bat, man. I was
like, this isn't good. He had a very turbulent 19 holes with the playoff.
He did.
And DeChambeau, same way, man, because DeChambeau actually took the lead, and then he fell apart. And then he started coming back, and he fell apart again. Hit in the water twice on the back nine. There was a point there where Rory was, I think he was 13 under, and he went down to 10 under. And I was like, and DeChambeau had a chance right there, being paired with him, but he fell apart. He missed a couple of big shots, and then Rory had some huge second shots, but his putter wasn't there. I can't remember if it was like 15 or 16. He hit it. He was going for double. He was going for eagle, and he missed. All in all, great tournament. Justin Rose, who was leading actually in the tournament, first two rounds. Yep. Third round fell apart a little bit. Yesterday had a strong finish. Ended up, I think, he was a 66, which took it into the playoff. Where in that playoff, Jay, in that second shot Justin Rose hit, he almost holed it. That shot, I thought it hit the pin and then, kicked. It ended up kicking away, which it was a far putt that he needed to make, and he ended up coming up short. So he ended up losing, but he almost won off his second shot because he was right on the pin. All in all, man, it was a great last day. Scotty Scheffler came back at the end a little bit. He was up and down. He ended up in fourth. DeChambeau ended up in tie for fifth. And Aberg he was actually top two. And those last two holes for him were disaster. He ended up with a 7 and I believe a 5.
Mm-hmm.
which dropped him down to seventh, which from a money perspective, that was a couple $1,000,000 he cost himself in those last 17 and 18. So congratulations to Rory. He got it done. It was real shaky, but he ended up taking care of business in the end.
And I just have to mention, Danny, this is the 50th anniversary of Lee Elder desegregating the Masters. And he's no longer with us. Rest in peace to Mr. Lee Elder. But nonetheless, man, just had to give him a shout out. Man, what he did for golf in general, but for those underserved and otherwise who are interested in golf, I mean, he really provided just he was really just a guiding light. And so just wanted to make mention of that big 5-0 of his appearance on the Masters golf tournament. And Danny, right into Formula One, and where this week they were in Bahrain. And so I'm gonna tell you, Danny, this is this an interesting season. I think a lot of people, obviously picked McLaren, but they picked Lando Norris to become the world champion.
Mm.
They need to watch out for Oscar Piastri, man. Oscar takes the Bahrain Grand Prix with George Russell being second, Lando being third, fourth Charles Leclerc, and then ultimately rounds out with Sir Lewis Hamilton. And so Lewis Hamilton is starting to kind of get Ferrari, starting to get the car. Still has to work out the kinks. I just wish they wouldn't have gotten DQ'd because I really believe DQ'd in, I want to say it was in China where they got DQ'd.
Yes.
Because I think they really could have scored some additional points there to really help them individually in the driver's standings, but then also in the Constructors' Cup. And so this is just going to be all around interesting, Danny. I mean, you have Red Bull in the Constructors' Cup right now in the third position. You have McLaren at first, Mercedes second, Red Bull third, and Ferrari fourth. And Red Bull is primed to be overtaken by Ferrari. The world championship is up for grabs. What say you, Danny, about Formula One?
Ever since the Australian Grand Prix, man, Piastri. And just think about that. If Piastri doesn't spin out in the
Mm-hmm.
Australian Grand Prix,
Mm-hmm.
where he would be right now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but ever since that moment where he made that feverish comeback, that at least I think he took ninth overall in the Australian Grand Prix. He's been driving great, and yesterday was
Mm-hmm.
no different. Also, man, George Russell second. I'm like, man, he is representing for Mercedes.
Yeah,
He
he is.
Norris came in third, strong race. Sir Lewis Hamilton took fifth. Sir Lewis Hamilton actually was in the third spot. He was up there. He was
Mm-hmm.
battling. Fifth isn't bad though, right? So, like you said, he's still working through some things with a new car, new team, but he's progressively getting better as each race goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Verstappen took sixth, so that's from a Red Bull perspective, that was their place there. But we'll see if McLaren can keep it going next week. But Piastri, man, like I said, ever since Australia and that rain, he's gotten it together, and he's pulled together a couple wins here and over the last three races.
And now, Danny, right into the NBA playoffs and where the playoffs matches have been set. In the Eastern Conference, you have Cavaliers at the number one seed, Celtics at the number two seed, number three, Knicks, four, Pacers, five, Bucks, six, Pistons. And then, of course, you have the play-in tournament where they'll be battling. You have the likes of the Atlanta Hawks, Orlando Magic, Chicago Bulls, and Miami Heat. They'll all be playing for the play-in tournament. And so this is going to be interesting, man. The Eastern Conference was pretty much set going into the Sunday's games. And so you had a lot of teams that just decided to rest their players. But that's not not what the Western Conference did. Oklahoma City Thunder number one, Rockets number two, Lakers lock up the number three seed, four seed Denver Nuggets, five Clippers, six Timberwolves, and then you have Golden State, Memphis, Sacramento, and Dallas battling it out in the play-in tournament. That Clippers Golden State Warriors game was very intriguing. It went into overtime,
Mhm.
and Golden State lost, so that pushes them down into the play-in tournament. I think they would rather prefer to be in the regular playoff lock, if you will, to get some additional rest. But the playoffs are here, man. I don't know about you. In the Eastern Conference, it feels like it's Cavaliers, Celtics, or bust. I hate to say it. I mean, I would like to see the Bucks move on up,
Mhm.
move on through this playoffs, but without Dame, Dame hasn't played in a couple of weeks. You have Bobby Portis back, but I just don't think that's going to be enough to really, really do what we need to do in the playoffs. What say you about the Eastern Conference, Danny?
You look at Milwaukee, man, and if they can get past Indiana, they need Dame. They need him
Yep.
to be playing.
Hmm.
So if for whatever reason they get him back and they avoid Boston, I think they can get Cleveland. But if they were to get there, the problem is they gotta get there. And Pat Connaughton put up 43 yesterday, Jason. So you gotta remember that. Shout out to the text stream. Well, it's gonna be a good matchup with them in Indiana. Indiana has problems with Giannis, but can they string together 4 games and get to the next round? That's the question. They're so up and down. You don't know which team you're going to get. They're going to be on the road, being the 5 seed in this series. It's so hard to say with them right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Pacers are the same way too. It's not like the Pacers are locked down, but they get up and down the floor and they can push the tempo, which can give the Bucks problems. So,
Hmm.
and they have beaten the Bucks too in the playoffs as well. So this is not their
Yeah.
first go round. And then with the Pistons Knicks,
That's going to be a good series.
man,
That's going to be a brutal series.
so far in looking at these, not knowing the playing games, with the Celtics and Cleveland and who they'll match up with, but the 3, 6, 4, 5, those are good matchups.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing those
Hmm. Hmm.
because the Pistons are going to be one to contend with. It's not like they're the old Pistons, but this is their first go round, and the Knicks, they've been here before.
Hmm.
So both intriguing series. Uh, very much looking forward to them this weekend, upcoming weekend.
What about the Western Conference, Danny? I don't know about you. I am looking forward to seeing this Nuggets Clippers series and even Lakers
Mhm.
Timberwolves series. Man, those going to be some good series.
Agree, Jay. I think you couldn't ask for anything better from a first round, except if it was the Lakers Golden State, right? But from the NBA's perspective, I think we talked about this last year, where they didn't want the Lakers and Warriors. They kind of want to keep them separated because they're both
Hmm.
really big draws as far
Hmm.
as getting eyeballs on the TV screen. They'll have Golden State Grizzlies coming up this week. That playing game is going to be one I want to see. But from the Lakers Timberwolves perspective, it's a great matchup. And then the way the Clippers uh, are coming into this, and you just don't know what the Nuggets now with Malone getting fired. Where's their head going to be at?
Exactly. Exactly.
Jamal Murray, what's he going to be like? Is he going to be able to put up, some minutes? Because he was a little banged up at the end of the season. So a lot of intriguing storylines. And now I would not be surprised if the Timberwolves upset the Lakers because and Edwards can get hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That is going to be a very, very intriguing series.
yes, so I'm
This,
looking forward to them all, Jay. To be honest with you.
yeah, this, yeah, this, yeah. The 3 to 6 matchups in both conferences are going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be good. So we'll see. I'll say this, man. I think a team to watch out for in the Western Conference is the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kawhi Leonard has been balling.
Yep. You forget about
James
him because he don't
Harden,
play.
yeah, James Harden's been balling too. So,
Zubats,
hmm.
which the Lakers got ripped off in that trade because they could definitely use him right now.
They can use him right now. Yeah.
But you can't forget Norman Powell,
Yep.
another scorer. So they have defense and they can score, and you have the veteran leadership of Kawhi and James Harden. More Kawhi, but James Harden's
Hmm.
been playing well, like you mentioned. So that's why I said it's going to be an interesting matchup with the Nuggets because you just don't know with all the turmoil and what happened last week. What's their headspace going to be?
Let me ask you this about the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
If the Bucks lose this first round, what happens in the offseason? Does Giannis request a trade? So Brook Lopez, I mean, his contract expires at the end of this season. Jericho Sims, his contract is gone. Torian Prince, he's gone. Gary Trent, gone. So you have some opportunities here. You have player options that Bobby Portis, I can see him taking.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Connaughton, I definitely see him taking. And then also Kevin Porter Jr. I could see maybe Kevin Porter Jr. opting out and possibly getting paid somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Or
Um,
or drive up the price on Milwaukee because they
yep,
did give him a chance. But
yep.
2 million or whatever, I think his contract
2.5,
he gone from that.
2.5. Yeah, yeah. So, but the Bucks are going to be kind of locked in here. I mean, Dame, Giannis, Kuzma, possibly Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, maybe Kevin Porter Jr., AJ Green, which would be the last year in his contract, Andre Jackson Jr., Chris Livingston, Tyler Smith. Bucks got to get younger there, young and athletic. They're not going to bring Brook back.
Mm-mm.
So, does Giannis ask out?
Looking at that lineup, Jay, it's the same guys he's been playing with, but at a certain point in time, like you said, if they bow in the first round, I can see that happening. I hate to say it,
Yeah, yeah.
but he has to look at the landscape. The good thing is, though, he is in the East versus the West. I think that helps a little
Hmm.
for him to stay, but then you got to look at what would they ask in return for him, which would be a haul
Man, it'd be a haul. I would ask like for 4 first rounders.
and a
You got
couple players.
and a couple players. You need some players, you need some bodies, or maybe 3 first rounders and a couple players. Give me a starting five almost, or
Mhm.
a mix with the bench, but gotta give me something here, man. And I think I can see Giannis asking out, but you know what though? I wouldn't be mad at Giannis. Giannis, well, I take that back. I would be mad at Giannis in that you wanted Drew gone,
Yep,
should have kept Drew.
yep.
Coaching moves,
Game.
personnel, other player personnel decisions. I mean, I'll be mad from that standpoint, but man, listen, he got us a championship. I'll still root for him,
Yeah,
but I can see him asking out.
yep. Well,
So,
we'll see how these playoffs go, Jay. Like we got Indiana Pacers coming up on Saturday, the opening game of the playoffs, the official playoffs, not the playing game stuff,
mhm.
on Saturday. So we'll see what they do and see if we have to discuss this more
Yeah,
further after
yeah.
this first round with the Pacers.
And just as we talk about that, Danny, the NCAA wraps up as well. Florida outlasts Houston 65-63 in the championship game for the men's. And let me just say, I hated that Houston didn't take a final shot here
Mm-hmm.
at the end, at least. They had, what, a 12-point lead, and Florida just kept hacking at it, dwindling it down.
Yep.
Houston had this game, man. Houston had this championship. Won. I wanted it for Houston in that just the things, the NIL deals that they signed with, I want to say, with other great companies, and so I wanted it for Houston because they never won.
Yep.
You had Hakeem Olajuwon in the building. Yeah, it would just would have been good to see Houston win, but Florida prevails, man. What say you, Danny, about the NCAA for men?
Yeah, Houston, I don't know that second half, man. Actually, the last like 8 minutes was
Yeah.
brutal because they
Hmm.
played the game they wanted to play. It
Hmm.
was the same type of game they played against Duke, where I mentioned when we had our last podcast that they're a disruptor type team.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're gritty, all about the defense, and then if they knock down their shots, even better. And they were doing it, and they had locked down Clayton Jr.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then he started getting going, but you gotta give it up to the other guys on Florida, man. Besides Clayton Jr. because they held them in the game, and once they made like a mini run,
Yep.
cut it to like four. But then Clayton Jr. started going. He had a 3-point play toward the
Hmm.
last 2 minutes.
Hmm.
And then Houston didn't get a shot off a couple
Give me a
times in
shout
the
out.
last 2 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Sharp dribble off his knee. And then obviously the shot at the end, well, the shot he didn't take. Yeah, it was unfortunate, man, for a game like that to end like that. It
Yeah.
was tough, but it was a great game.
Hmm.
But it would have been nice to see Calvin Sampson get his first championship, Houston get
Yeah.
their first championship,
Yeah.
and it didn't happen. So
Yeah.
we'll see
And
what happens now because they graduate a couple guys, and we'll see what
hmm
happens, who they bring back.
and I'll just say this too, man. I think it was just some bad offensive sets by Houston. I mean,
Mhm.
I didn't know what they were running, or they were in the same play.
Yep.
And it just didn't bode well for them. I think better offensive sets throughout the course of the game would have
Hmm.
helped relieve them. But I mean, look at it like this, Danny. They had a 12-point game, a 12-point lead in the
Jason,
second
it was the
half.
same. It was the same game that they came back on Duke.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
the same way that game ended. It was
Exactly.
the same way the Final Four game where they came back and beat Duke.
Hmm.
Same thing happened where Florida came back on them, and
Hmm.
'cause Duke was doing the same thing. They fell apart, and it just didn't happen. So you thought their experience would have carried them over, and it they didn't happen. And like you said, the sets were not good, and they didn't get shots up.
And just as we talk about the men, we're definitely going to talk about the ladies and where
Mm-hmm.
the UConn Huskies blows out South Carolina Gamecocks 82-59. Paige Beckers gets her first championship, and what a way to go out! And where she will be drafted into nice WNBA draft, and you gotta give it up to South Carolina Gamecocks for making it to the championship game, man. They consistently have some great players. Have consistently over the past 3, 4 seasons have gotten to the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
Just couldn't get over the hump this year. Paige Beckers, like I said, prevails, gets her ring. We'll just say that her 17 points will go down in UConn history, man, because she's going to make some bank on and off the court. So kudos to her, man. Kudos to the ladies of UConn. And also kudos to the ladies of South Carolina. What say you, Danny, about the ladies championship game?
Yeah, congratulations to UConn, Gino, number 12, and they just took total control of that game. And
Hmm. Hmm.
even like when they played in the Final Four game against UCLA, they just imposed their will on them and hit big shot after big shot after big shot, and there was no coming back from that. South Carolina tried to weather the storm a little bit, but it was over in that beginning of the second half.
Yeah.
They just bum rushed them, man.
Yep.
That
Yep.
was a wrap for South Carolina. Sorry to see Dawn Staley lose. Cheering for her to get a victory.
Hmm. Hmm.
That would have been her fourth championship, but fell short. And Gino, this is his first one since 2016. And like you said, it capped a great career for Paige Beckers, who we'll see. She's gonna go number one tonight.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so for her to battle all the injuries she battled. Some of the other girls on the team too that came back. Sarah Strong next year, the freshman. That girl is good. That girl can play. So they have something to build upon now, and we'll see if anything happens with the transfer portal. As I know that's very active right now from the college game. And that's something too, Jay, man, with that all going on during these like the bowl season for football, during the tournament. It's like, come on, man, they gotta get that under control. Some things have to change for this to continue on if they want to be successful. Because this is just is wild, and just trying to keep track of everything.
Thank you for joining us at Backporch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at @back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.